Have you ever wondered how one private company launched thousands of satellites into space and turned them into one of the world's fastest growing internet businesses? Every time a Falcon 9 rocket lifts off, millions of dollars disappear in just a few minutes. But the real surprise isn't the launch. It's what happens afterward. Those satellites begin generating subscription revenue every single day.
Today, Starlink has more than 10 million subscribers worldwide, and its connectivity business has become the largest source of SpaceX's revenue. So, how much does it cost to build a global internet network in space? How much money does each satellite actually make? And can Starlink eventually become one of the most profitable infrastructure businesses ever created? Let's find out. At first glance, Starlink looks like a satellite company. But in reality, it is building something much bigger. A global internet network that reaches places where fiber cables and cell towers cannot. Every satellite begins its journey inside a factory. Unlike traditional communication satellites that can cost hundreds of millions of dollars each, Starlink satellites are mass-produced. That dramatically reduces manufacturing costs. After production, the satellites are loaded onto reusable Falcon 9 rockets. Because SpaceX owns both the rockets and the satellites, it avoids paying another launch company. This gives Starlink one of its biggest competitive advantages. But launching satellites is only the beginning. To provide reliable internet, the company also needs thousands of ground stations, network operation centers, software engineers, customer support teams, and millions of user terminals installed around the world. Building this system has required investments worth tens of billions of dollars over several years. The satellites themselves don't last forever. Most operate for only about 5 to 6 years before they must be replaced with newer models. That means SpaceX is constantly manufacturing, launching, and replacing satellites. It is a business that never stops investing. So why spend so much money? Because, unlike a traditional satellite operator, Starlink doesn't sell capacity to just a few companies. It sells monthly internet subscriptions to millions of customers. Every new customer creates recurring monthly revenue. And that is where the real business begins. So, how does Starlink actually make money? Unlike traditional satellite companies that sell bandwidth to governments or large corporations, Starlink sells directly to ordinary people. Customers simply purchase a Starlink antenna, install it at home, and pay a monthly subscription. Depending on the country and service plan, monthly fees typically range from $50 to more than $150. Business customers, ships, airlines, and government agencies often pay much more for premium service. This subscription model creates something investors love: recurring revenue. As long as customers stay connected, money keeps flowing every single month. Today, Starlink serves more than 10 million active customers across over 140 countries and territories. That makes it one of the fastest-growing internet providers in history. If the average customer pays around $80 per month, that alone represents roughly $800 million in monthly revenue. Over a year, that's close to $10 billion before considering enterprise and government contracts. But subscriptions are only one part of the business. Starlink also earns money by selling its user terminals. Each customer must purchase the satellite dish and Wi-Fi router before activating the service. Although hardware margins are relatively small, they still generate billions of dollars in additional sales. The company is also expanding into aviation, maritime shipping, mining operations, oil platforms, emergency services, and military communications. A single commercial aircraft equipped with Starlink can generate far more revenue than a typical home subscriber. Cruise ships and cargo vessels may pay thousands of dollars every month for high-speed satellite internet. Government contracts are even larger. Reliable communication during disasters, remote operations, and national security missions have become an important source of income. But generating revenue is only half the story.
Operating a global satellite network is extremely expensive. Thousands of satellites must be monitored every hour of every day. Ground stations consume electricity around the clock. Software teams continuously improve the network. Customer support handles millions of users worldwide. Most importantly, SpaceX must keep launching new satellites because older ones eventually reach the end of their operational life. Replacing thousands of satellites every few years costs billions of dollars.
Even with those enormous expenses, analysts believe Starlink's operating margins will improve significantly as more subscribers join the network. Why? Because adding one more customer costs far less than building another nationwide fiber network. The satellites are already in orbit. The infrastructure already exists. Each additional subscriber helps spread those fixed costs across a larger customer base.
And that is exactly why many analysts believe Starlink could become one of the most profitable communications businesses ever created. But just how profitable could it become? And will those billions of dollars invested in space actually pay off? So, is Starlink actually a profitable business? The answer is becoming clearer every year. Building Starlink has already required investments worth tens of billions of dollars. Thousands of satellites, hundreds of rocket launches, ground stations, and millions of customer terminals all required enormous capital. For most companies, a project this expensive would be impossible. But SpaceX has one major advantage. It builds its own rockets. Every reusable Falcon 9 launch reduces the cost of expanding the network, instead of paying another launch provider.
SpaceX launches its own satellites using its own vehicles. That saves billions of dollars over time. Now, let's compare three different stages of the business. A small satellite operator with only a few 100,000 customers may struggle to recover its investment. Operating costs remain high while revenue is still limited. A network with several million subscribers becomes much more efficient. The satellites are already in orbit.
The infrastructure is already built, and every new customer increases revenue far more than operating costs. Now imagine a global network with more than 10 million subscribers. Annual revenue can exceed $10 billion. Many industry analysts believe Starlink could eventually generate billions of dollars in annual operating profit if subscriber growth continues and launch costs remain low. But the business still faces major risks.
Competitors are building their own satellite constellations. Governments can introduce new regulations. Space debris is becoming a growing concern, and every satellite must eventually be replaced. That means billions of dollars will continue to be invested for years to come. Even so, Starlink has created something very few companies have ever achieved: a global communications network owned by a single private company. One that connects remote villages, ships in the middle of the ocean, commercial aircraft, military operations, and millions of homes around the world. The final question is no longer whether Starlink can work. It is whether it can become one of the most valuable infrastructure businesses in history. Every time another Falcon 9 rocket leaves the launch pad, it isn't just carrying satellites. It is expanding a business designed to generate recurring revenue from space for decades to come. Subscribe to Margin for more videos exploring the economics behind the world's biggest businesses.